next news. Breaking news from the White House.
A cruise ship outbreak has triggered global tracking and quarantines, yet President Trump just delivered a clear message of calm control. 3 deaths tied to the MV Hondias, and Americans heading to a Nebraska biocontainment unit have officials moving fast. But while the establishment wraps up surveillance, the people are already spotting the familiar pattern and refusing to play along. Is this just another overreaction, or does the Trump administration have it truly contained this time? Now, see, every American watching this needs to understand the personal stakes. Families with loved ones returning from travel now face extended monitoring that could stretch weeks. Communities see health departments activating contact tracing that pulls resources away from real local issues. Now, politically, this tests whether the same forces that pushed fear during the last administration will try it again under Trump. The disconnect between officials saying risk is low and the heavy containment moves creates confusion that hits working families the hardest. Now, public health should protect without panic, and Trump's direct oversight shows the steady hand America needs right now, instead of the chaos of the prior years. While uncertainty swirls around this developing situation, smart Americans are already taking steps to protect their families financially. This is what your financial advisor will not tell you. By the time the news tells you to buy gold, it's too late. You're waiting. I get it. Everybody's waiting. Waiting to see if the ceasefire holds, waiting to see if the Strait of Hormuz reopens, waiting to see what happens next. But gold isn't waiting for you. It moves on fear, on instability, and on the unknown. And it moves faster than you can react. So while you're waiting for certainty, the rest of the world is planning for what comes next. You can't afford to wait. Head to nextnewsgold.com right now to learn how Noble Gold Investments can help you secure your future with physical gold and silver before the next wave hits. Now back to the Hantavirus story and why the public response matters most. See, beyond the official lines, the real story is how quickly people are pushing back. Comments on social media show Americans rejecting the mask return and extended quarantines before any widespread panic actually sets in. This time, the noticing is stronger. And that changes everything about how this plays out. Here's the president outside of the Oval Office, or no, this is outside of the Lincoln Memorial talking to reporters about the Hantavirus.
I'm also with ABC News. Can I ask you
Fake
about
news.
the Hantavirus? Have you been briefed on the virus?
Yes, I have.
Can you tell us what you learned in these briefings?
Well, I
Should
think
Americans-
you're going to be told everything, and you already have. It's very much, we hope, under control. It was the ship, and I think we're going to make a full report about it tomorrow. We have a lot of people, a lot of great people are studying it. It should be fine. We hope.
What do you guys? What's going on behind him there? It looks like a guy in a gas mask. That's kind of a weird thing to have. Okay, I don't know. I just spotted that. I just thought it was ironic that he's talking about containment and the Hantavirus, and then there's this weird image of a guy in a biohazard suit behind him. Not a traditional one either. Anyway, that caught my eye. So Trump says the Hantavirus outbreak is contained on the ship with a full report coming out. But now New Jersey is tracking 2 residents who may have already been exposed. New Jersey monitoring 2 residents for possible Hantavirus exposure linked to a cruise ship passenger. The residents were not passengers on the ship. The potential exposure occurred during air travel abroad. That's according to Governor Mickey Sherrill, who posted on X. Officials say both individuals are symptom-free and being monitored after contact with someone who had disembarked from the MV Hondias. Risk to the public remains low. The governor added no confirmed cases in New Jersey at this time. So officials in New Jersey insist the risk is very low. Salty Cracker, though, weighing in with his own meme. You got to love this, right? You got to love the Salty Cracker. How to interact with someone who falls for it again? Exactly. Remember how many times they pointed and shamed you and you decided you weren't going to mask up? Well, people are already masking up in this case. So the online community highlights the public skepticism towards any new scares, and the World Health Organization is already pushing back on ivermectin as a treatment option. The World Health Organization has come out and said there is no evidence that ivermectin would be an effective treatment for hantavirus. So they're already quick to dismiss ivermectin despite past debates over its use, and social media posts show Americans rejecting another round of pandemic restrictions. This is encouraging By the comments on this Instagram post, it appears not many are willing to play the pandemic game this time around. The noticing shall continue. So here's a post, and you can see all the comments here. Not falling for this again. It's an election year, so of course, must be an election year. Tired of the fear-mongering. Covering up the Disney cruise ship. You can now bet we will all die this year. Yay. Everyone is already saying, nope, not going to play along. So comment sections are filling up with people refusing to repeat the COVID-era pandemic. Governor Mickey Sherrill laying out the New Jersey monitoring plan in detail. New Jersey Department of Health has been notified by the CDC that 2 New Jersey residents were potentially exposed to a person infected with Hantavirus after that individual departed from the cruise ship MV Hondias. The residents were potentially exposed to a person infected after the individual departed from the cruise ship. The residents were not passengers on the ship, and the potential exposure occurred during air travel. Both individuals are being monitored in coordination with local health officials, not currently showing symptoms. Risk to the public remains low. No confirmed cases in New Jersey. We will continue to keep residents informed as the situation develops. So they're confirming 2 residents under watch, no symptoms, no confirmed cases. Fresh updates, however, reveals Spain is preparing for the ship's arrival and tracking dozens who've already embarked. Breaking 911 reports Trump is monitoring the Hantavirus outbreak linked to the cruise ship that's already resulted in 3 deaths. Spain is preparing for the vessel's arrival as officials track about 40 people, including Americans who left the ship before the exposure was identified. The World Health Organization says the virus is far less contagious than COVID and is working to ease public concern. Let's take a look at this news hit.
Authorities in Spain get ready for the arrival of the MV Hondias and its nearly 150 passengers and crew who've been stuck on board. President Trump saying this about the Hantavirus outbreak.
It's very much, we hope, under control. It was the ship, and I think we're going to make a full report about it tomorrow. We have a lot of people, a lot of great people studying it. It should be fine. We hope.
Now, the cruise ship should dock in Spain's Canary Islands as early as this weekend, where passengers will face medical evaluations. The head of Spain's emergency services says passengers will arrive at a completely cordoned off area. At the moment, no one on board is showing any symptoms. The U.S. is set to send a plane to help get the 17 Americans on board back home. Now, despite 3 people dying and several others sick, the World Health Organization says there's no reason for the public to panic.
This is not coronavirus. This is a very different virus. We know this virus. Hantaviruses have been around for quite a while. I want to be unequivocal here. This is not SARS-CoV-2. This is not the start of a COVID pandemic. This is an outbreak that we see on a ship. This is not the same situation we were in 6 years ago.
As many as 40 people disembarked the cruise ship prior to the discovery of the Hantavirus on board. 5 states right now are tracking residents who were on board but aren't showing any symptoms. This includes people in California, Arizona, Texas, Georgia, and Virginia.
The chances of human-to-human transmission of this virus is extremely low. They've studied it. In Chile in 2007, they found about 1% chance from this Andes strain. That's it, 1%. And the WHO told me this morning that there's no evidence that this virus has changed.
Meanwhile, here in the UK, health officials are asking British nationals who were on board to self-isolate for 45 days once they return home.
Self-isolate. That's the word. Spain is moving to evaluate passengers as the ship docks with multiple states now following exposed travelers. CDC clarifying the Andes strains is rare, person-to-person spread. The Hantavirus linked to the cruise ship outbreak is the Andes virus, which is the only type that can spread from person to person. This is rare and typically limited to close, prolonged contact. At this time, there is no indication of wider community spread. That is the update. So the CDC data shows limited transmission risk, even with the Andes virus type. Reports indicating 1 passenger attended a crowded wedding right after leaving the ship. YouTuber went to packed wedding after leaving the Hondias as Hantavirus spread. Let's see what this is about here. Martin Ansey has identified a passenger evacuated in a hazmat suit. His wife describes So the YouTuber headed straight to a packed wedding after disembarking, claiming poor information. American passengers are now being routed to a Nebraska biocontainment unit. According to CBS News, American passengers aboard the Hondias, the ship at the center of the Hantavirus outbreak, are being sent to a special biocontainment unit in Nebraska. So U.S. passengers are now facing specialized quarantine facilities back home. Now a Harvard professor detailing the 40-day isolation needed due to the virus's long incubation period. Harvard professor.
And what a quarantine might really mean in context of the long incubation period. And we have a question from one of our viewers. They ask, it's said that it can take 8 weeks to become symptomatic. The passengers shouldn't be allowed into the public until they're completely cleared. You know, what is that a fair way to look at this? I mean, how long do you think people should be quarantined who are either on that ship or in contact with someone who is there?
Yeah, I mean, this is the big challenge with this virus, the long incubation period. And now we have people scattered really around the globe that are being properly tracked, isolated, quarantined, and get it under control. But what they did was they quarantined and isolated people for 40 days because of the long incubation period. So unfortunately, this is a key factor in us trying to figure out how do we keep people safe? How do we prevent further spread? I mean, what we're all tracking right now is that potential secondary spread. And then how do we minimize those who are infected from infecting others?
So we've already got CNN bringing on the experts, right? Good luck. In 2022, the self-proclaimed astrologer on X, remember we posted about this, extended quarantines are now the reality for those connected to the ship. Video shows some already masking up despite the contained status. Tara Bull writing, some are already wearing masks to protect themselves from the outbreak.
I don't even play like that. I don't even play like that. I don't even play like that.
Yep, they're already making TikToks, guys. They're already making the TikToks. Lovely. So the truth the establishment hides is simple. With Trump in charge, it stays focused on the ship where it belongs. The Andes virus spreads only through rare close contact, and the administration's rapid tracking plus 40-day quarantines for exposed passengers shows proactive leadership rather than fear. Unlike before, the public sees the overreach coming and refuses to bite, keeping pressure on officials to stay measured. America wins when calm competence replaces hysteria. Now, the bottom line is very clear. President Trump has the situation under watch, and the American people are wiser than ever. So share this report so more families stay informed without the spin, and drop a comment below. Answer this quick question. Are you buying the official low-risk measure or watching the response closer than the virus itself? For the full unfiltered feed straight to your phone, text raw feed to 844-840-4963 and bypass the algorithm. Completely get a message from me right to your phone. Make sure you check out the Next News merch shelf below this video for the more America First gear that celebrates real victories. Stay vigilant, and we'll keep winning together.
The system controls information. Information control is power. They don't want you to see this. The truth only survives together. They don't want this shared. Share this now.